Hi everybody, welcome to Campfire Discussions with Brandy, and I'm here with Dana Hindman-Allen.
Hi, Brandy.
Welcome.
Thank you, Brandy.
Before we tell everybody who you are and what's going on, I thought we should tell them this breaking news you brought to me.
Yes.
If you would like to tell them.
Yes, actually, as I was on the way, I was speaking with some of the people that are speaking at my symposium, and they knew I was going to a podcast, and they wanted to get the information out. But in order to protect the identity of the person, they wanted me to be a little bit vague. But it's a member of the Republican Party, the Multnomah County Republican Party, said that 12 officers, 4 marked cars, 2 unmarked cars, about 1 o'clock in the morning, went into his house with no warrant.
Oh my gosh.
And he asked, "You don't have a warrant? I don't authorize any of this." And they said, well, his house in Multnomah County, because he was in Clark County.
Oh, wow.
And so they went across lines in
That's
jurisdiction. It was 2 times. One, the Clark County tried to, but that fizzled. And then they came over to his place in Clark County, and they took his phone. And they held it the whole time, searched the premises 2 by 2. And basically he's had Antifa watching him, and he's a member of the Republican Party. And I wish I could say more because it's a little more serious. Yeah. Let's just say we've seen a lot of harassing in very strange ways across the country. So
that's scary to think that people can, it feels like the government is using the FBI and the police to basically harass people that don't believe what they believe.
Exactly, really, and that's some political opposition, I think is the tenor.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
well, while we're here, tell us a little bit about you and what we're talking about tonight.
Absolutely. So my name is Dana Hindman-Allen. I actually just ran in the primary election.
Yep, you did.
For Clackamas County Commissioner. We had a great run, and really coming off the heels of the pandemic, and when the government in Oregon went way too far, and the overreach was extensive and prolonged, long past the point it needed to be.
Yeah.
And my campaign was really bringing the people back in participation with the government, that we are the self-governed, and that the elected officials need to be held accountable. They work for us. It's not the other way around. There needs to be a collaborative process. So
yeah.
And I sell real estate. That's what I do for a living. And politics, I'm deep involved in, community and in the party. And that's a little bit about myself. I'm a native Oregonian, 5 generations.
Awesome. Woohoo!
Yeah. So there's very few of us left. I mean, Portland's grown, and the state has grown immensely over the last 10, 15 years.
Very true. So we're here to talk about this symposium. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes. Okay. So let me just give some backstory to this election integrity symposium.
Yeah.
So after the primary election, most people that live, thank you.
Yeah, there's a picture there.
Most people that live in Clackamas County and probably around the state realized that the Clackamas County had huge debacles. 60% of the ballots, barcodes did not print correctly. So therefore they instituted this sort of protocol to handle it. And the ballots were duplicated and taken off the original and put onto a new ballot.
Big mess.
It was a mess because there was no real process. I know that there's supposed to be a certain amount of Democrats and Republicans, and I just think because of the magnitude of it, that it wasn't super monitored for the amount of people. They brought people in a hurry.
Yeah.
So anyhow, that along with some other complaints that were filed because there were people in the election, the viewing room sooner before ours, and that was actually a Democrat candidate that filed that complaint.
Oh, wow.
And then, so from all of that, and then all the whole anomalies. I mean, I know that most people probably started to question things after Clackamas County's debacle. I know that I was feeling very uneasy. It was prolonged. Kind of reminded me of what we went through in 2020 when everything was delayed.
Yeah.
And things. It just doesn't support this confidence when you have things that are totally unusual, out of the ordinary. Things are drawn out.
That's right.
It's kind of like when I have a real estate transaction, and the longer it takes to close, the more chance the issues can come up. So if things are real succinct and on track, and the communication and the protocol and everything's really going great, then there's less chance for error. So I think what we saw that whole week as the election was going out, the numbers were being tabulated. I just had this whole thing. It just didn't feel good. It was my first time running for office.
Right. Oh man, that's a bummer when that feels like that and you're running for office. I can't imagine.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, this is not following any norm.
Right.
It's like, what?
Yeah.
So I ended up getting hooked up with a gal that actually ran for Metro 2, May Wong. And
Joel has a picture of her if he puts her up.
May Wong, who is actually now my partner in the Justice League of Oregon. May is up here. She's coming.
She's coming. We're having issues with our pictures again. I don't know why. We'll see. He'll get her up there. Anyways, keep going.
Anyway, she ran for Metro 2. There she is. My partner in the Justice League of Oregon. So she ran for Metro 2, and she actually, on the morning of, Memorial Day, Sunday, 4:30 a.m., she captured screenshots time-stamped of votes going down thousands in the county between her race. And it continued past the when the election was certified. So we've got like 12 screenshots.
Wow.
It's pretty concerning. So we got together, and without going into extreme details, when I met with her and we started, I said, well, this actually brings into question the validity of the potential breach.
Absolutely.
And the validity of all the results. If there's a breach, it calls into question everybody's race.
Absolutely.
So I said, we've got to, so we filed a complaint. So actually 4 candidates filed a complaint asking for an investigation.
Okay.
And investigation of the screenshots.
Right.
And asked
that sounds reasonable.
I mean, doesn't that seem unreasonable?
Absolutely.
I mean, if something's wrong, we need to address it. If something doesn't seem right, we need to question it.
100%.
I mean, I'm running for commissioner. If I was in office and I saw something that wasn't correct if I was to be elected as in office, I would want to correct that and have accountability, fiscal responsibility.
Yeah.
So here I'm sitting here looking at this going, this whole thing doesn't seem right.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't. It seems really pretty messed up.
So anyhow, 4 of us filed complaints asking for a full investigation to the state and also for a full hand recount of the original, not duplicated ballots.
Right. That makes sense.
So in essence, we went through this. 2 other candidates, Steve Frost ran for commissioner, and Dan Tooze, who ran for a state house seat.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they filed complaints as well. And we proceeded, and May and I did massive communication with county. We're literally diplomatically, professionally asking to have some clarity. Can we please look into this? This is a problem. No one could explain it, but thought it was odd, the screenshots.
Yeah.
They led us to believe that they were going to do a hand recount.
Right.
And essentially put us through all the channels. We did everything right, protocol. This is like a month and a half. And led us through the gamut. And in this symposium, we're going to talk in great length about the process, the timeline, the screenshots, everything. There are about 8 potential statutes violated.
Wow.
And
you guys need to come to the symposium, seriously.
So candidates have rights. The public has rights.
Yeah.
And, it sort of goes hand in hand with what we experienced the last 2.5 years with all the government overreach, that suddenly many of us felt like our rights are not being heard.
Right. And it's like, well, it's a little weird, but they don't want to look into it. That feels like we were saying before, it feels like if something wasn't wrong, if something wasn't weird there, they would have no problem showing you what's going on. They'd be transparent about it. But because they're making it so hard to get any information, they're not being transparent. It's pretty clear something's wonky there.
Yes, and as we were talking about this whole thought that conspiracy, it's a conspiracy. You're a conspiracy theorist if you even question something. And I say this is a way to deflate anybody from asking good, hard questions.
Yep.
From wanting to look into things that are appearing to not be right. It's just a way to dismiss people.
It's another buzzword.
Yeah, total buzzword. Exactly.
You're a racist. You're a conspiracy theorist. It's just another way to shut somebody up.
Yes. So anyway, we went through the whole process, and let's just say right now, currently, as it stands, not one public records request has been fulfilled.
Oh, wow.
There were other activist groups that joined in and asked for things to be fulfilled. So this is what sparked everything.
Yeah.
Is right now we've got questionable things happening. We've got the screenshots that clearly show there's some sort of breach of some sort. We're just asking to have it be explained. Nobody will explain it. The chief legal investigator at the state actually didn't even acknowledge them.
What?
But his supervisor, after me pressing to get answers, called and said, well, that's very strange. Well, I'll get you over to this person. No follow-up. Crickets.
Unbelievable. There's a couple people on here real quick before we move on. Jay says, a tiny amount of fraud spread all over the state adds up really quickly. That's true. And someone else said, we love you guys. So, hey, we love you too.
Oh, thank you.
My question is, one of my questions would be, what are your goals for this symposium? What are the goals that you guys have? And there's a whole bunch of you that are going to be there. So if you could lay out some of those goals, and then we'll do a commercial break.
Absolutely. So we decided to do the symposium because, first of all, we need to raise awareness on exactly what's going on. And we've got many people all over. We've got Mark Thielman speaking. He's working on stuff in a lawsuit. We've retained an attorney. we're working on things. Also, the guys in Coos County, Scott Brewster and Rod Taylor, they've had some fraudulent situation they've exposed. There's a suit going down there.
Wow.
And Tina Peters, she's got a suit going in Colorado. She's deep in a legal battle, and she's a county clerk. So our goals is to raise money for legal because we want to pursue this. We want to figure out, we want to have some answers.
Right.
Because here's the thing, and also raise awareness that candidates have rights. When you run for office, you have rights. You have things that they have to follow. Government officials have to follow. And we also want to educate the public on what they can do to get involved and essentially raise awareness of this problem so we can start tackling it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I hope that you guys, I hope the symposium goes really well.
Thank you.
We're going to come back in a minute, but before we do, let's talk about one of our awesome sponsors, and that's Whitney Signs. They are owned by our lovely mayor here of Estacada and his wife. They're incredible. We talk them up every week. We love them. Let's check out their video. Oh, I love that commercial. So real quick, I wanted to make a comment, and I don't know how you feel about this, but I've lived in other places. I moved to Oregon when I was 19. So my first time I voted in Nevada. And Nevada, the way you vote there is you go to a voting location and you have to show your ID and you have to go into a booth, and you know, it's like really top security. You're very watched. There's no way that somebody could pretend to be you, or, you know, and here in Oregon, it feels like anybody could fill out your ballot. It doesn't seem very safe or secure. And that to me was really strange when I moved here and found out when I first voted in Oregon. I found that really strange because I grew up thinking that when you vote, you go into a place where you're, you know, they check you, they secure you, you're going to a booth, nobody's allowed in that booth with you. You're, you know, it's just different. It's really different.
Well, they've legislated in Oregon not to, the voter rolls are to not clean the voter rolls. To leave the voter rolls alone. So we've got many things going on, like in the voting, it's stretched out. What happened to this excitement that we're going to vote and we get the results right away, and it's like this monumental thing. But now it's this drug out process that creates the voters. It's just not this sense of urgency. And let's get the votes tabulated. Let's get everything done fair and square, and let's get it out to the public. It's just this. There's no need for it.
No, and it just seems interesting to me because the fact that you can just send your vote in, to me, just seems really unsecure, and it's scary. It's just scary. As a voter myself, it feels like, what's the point of voting if, you know, of course I always vote.
Yeah, we gotta vote.
But to know that, you know, the election feels so unsafe is scary.
Well, it's starting to get like every time there's an election, we're going, oh, I hope we don't have some surprise. That's what it's starting to feel like.
Yeah.
What's going to come up next? What new thing is going to be legislated, or, you know, to make it easier to have it be more open to potential problems.
Right. Exactly. So you said earlier that you retained an attorney. What is the purpose of that? What do you hope to achieve with getting an attorney for this process?
Well, first of all, many of our rights as candidates have been violated because, first of all, they have not fulfilled the public records request. That is, you're not supposed to do that. You have to fulfill them. Right. We were told, led down the path that would be fulfilled. We actually were waiting for a quote that never came from Clackamas County. Wow. We were told and led down the path, and then the gate just shut. So my final letter was pretty much going over all the statutes. I see you're trying to run me out of time, tried to bring us back around to some document that is totally unrelated, but all the while validating everything we did along the way. So it's pretty bad what's going on.
Isn't there, and you said you have to fulfill a public records request, which we know from being involved in, serving in that aspect in our town. Isn't there a time limit of public records requests, or is there not?
The public records request, within 5 days they need to acknowledge it, but it has to be fulfilled within a timely manner. So I don't have the statute right in front of me, so I hesitate to quote. I want to make sure it's 100% accurate.
I was just curious because I thought, like you said, they have to acknowledge it pretty quickly.
Within 5 days.
And to not have any acknowledgement after that, they're just leaving you hanging. It's just, everything seems really fishy to me.
So one of the big deals with this whole symposium is the fact that if we have questionable things going on that we want answers, we're being denied due process, essentially.
Yeah.
Due intergovernmental process. And now we have no recourse. Right. So we have a system now that's going in the direction of there's things wrong, the government's not accountable, and now we're denied recourse.
Right. Then what happens?
That's serious.
Total chaos.
That's serious. That's a total breakdown.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we want to, that's what we're addressing, is getting strategy and direction from our attorney to find out, he's looking and evaluating our case and going to give us guidance on the direction. So
cool. It's a good idea then, definitely.
Yeah.
We have some comments on here, and you know what, Joel, you might have to send me some of those because I missed a couple. And I'm sorry, guys, I'm using my phone instead of the tablet this time. So, here we go. So, Sapat said, I remember the first time I voted in California, someone tried to steal my identity to vote and then tried to open a bank account by using my name. That person got arrested for stealing people's identity. Wow, that's a crazy story. Hopefully Joel sends me a couple of these questions. We had more questions, guys. If Joel sends it into the, Micah says, I remember going to the voting booths. That's cool. He put it on a little scroll with my parents. And Jay said a tiny amount of fraud. We read that one before. But I find it really interesting that every step of the way you guys have been trying to get some answers, just some clarity, just some transparency, and every step of the way they're putting roadblocks in your way.
Yes, running us in circles and putting roadblocks and hoping we just go away.
Yeah, and essentially hoping you give up and fall back and just fall in line with what they want you to do. And
exactly. And no, excuse me. Setting up the roadblocks and we fulfill everything. That's the kicker. We fulfill everything. I actually have in writing how it was validated, everything we did. Yes, you need to do this. You need to put this on a public records request, even though it was told by the other person at the county in the clerk's office that I needed to write a full letter and sign it. Did that. Then the other clerk said, you see what I'm saying? Ping
it's
pong.
A big mess. Yep. No responsibility, just somebody else's problem.
Exactly.
There's a comment on there I'm going to read, but I want to wait till it gets to the beginning. Maybe it'll come back here in a second before I ask you this other question here.
So the goal of the symposium is really to bring awareness, raise money for the lawsuit, because the public needs to know. We have to have a court of public opinion. They have to know what's going on.
Yeah.
And how their government is treating their citizens.
Says nowadays an election feels so kind of unsafe as if there's going to be chaos, some kind of chaos. And that is like what we were talking about. You're expecting some sort of surprise along the way. I won't even drop off my wife's ballot without her there to do it herself. I feel like voting is one of those things that should be treated as a citizen's duty and celebrated when completed. Yeah, I agree with that. Joel and I are like that. We go and we drop it off at an official place and we make sure that we're present doing that, and we're proud of it. We used to get, like in Nevada, you get a voter sticker when you vote. That's a proud thing. Somebody else said, do you think poor security is the reason for some fraudulent voting? That's a good question.
I think that the lack of accountability is what is creating the poor security.
Right.
So when citizens bring it up and nothing it is done to shore it up, then I think that is what we're dealing with right now. And I think, but to the gentleman or gal that just wrote the last comment, I think going in person and dropping your ballot off is the safest thing you can do, and go
Absolutely.
as close to the latter part, since there's all these days that leave open this possibility of errors.
Right.
Put it towards the latter part of your deadline and drop it off in person. They need to know that we care.
Yeah.
We care about how things are going. We care about how the process is, and go observe. Sign up to be an observer.
That's a big one that we learned in our PCP stuff is observe. Sign up to observe. That's a big part of it. You know, and the more people that are willing to observe and the more honest people that want to observe, the better, I think, personally. Katie said, I don't even trust the voting system, period. They can easily change your vote without you knowing. I feel like my votes don't matter. Oh, that's a terrible feeling. Your vote does matter.
Yes.
Even though there's issues, and we're trying to fix that. Dana here is a part of a group that is trying to bring light to that and repair those problems. But you should always vote. It's so important. Absolutely.
And I care, because this is why we're going out on a limb and doing this symposium, is to bring in awareness and show the public that we have to get involved. Right. And all the people that are speaking, they are, Mark Thielman, Tina Peters, Janet Dysinger, we've got Scott Brewster, Rod Taylor. They're fighting fraud, and May Wong. We formed the Justice League of Oregon to raise money to be able to do this. She's my partner in that.
It sounds like you guys are superheroes.
I know. I tell her, I go Wonder Twin powers.
I love that.
So yeah, the Justice League, we want justice, because this is my take. Because I don't want anybody to paint this as a Republican or a Democrat. We are Americans.
Right.
Period. We're Americans. Yes, I don't agree with some things on some political aspects. But the fact of the matter is, if we have honest, secure elections, then it doesn't matter which party you belong to. You are going to be accountable to the people, because it will be reconciled at the ballot.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
It will bring back a partnership between elected officials. We may have differences in some ways. We're all different people.
Right.
But it will bring back the will of the people.
And that's what's most important, because these elected officials, a lot of them have forgotten that they're there to serve the people.
Every party affiliation.
People are in charge. Any party, no matter who you're affiliated with, people are in charge. Like you said, if there is accountability and it shows at the ballot, then they will have to be accountable to the people they serve. And that's very important. And right now it doesn't feel like some of the elected officials, we could go on and name names, but some of the elected officials clearly don't give a crap what the
yes,
people
I'd say it's running a little more rampant in some political affiliations than others.
I would agree
without
with that.
Getting too detailed.
We've got a few more comments here, and then we'll go to another commercial before we continue on. Katie said thank you. She's the one that said about didn't feel like her vote mattered. Michael says, actually, every vote matters. That's why people steal those valuable votes. That's right. Jay said, it's so bad that a check deposited in the bank is treated with far more security than our votes are. Yeah, I mean, we could go on and on about that. That's for sure. So before we go on, we have another really fun commercial. There's a new video game or phone game that's being created, and it's really fun. So if you have some aggression that you want to take out, this will be the game, because it's a cartoon-like game. It's really funny, and it's dwarves, as in the fantasy dwarves, not making fun of a group of people. And you get in a slap battle, and it looks like a lot of fun. So let's check it out.
Na, 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 na.
Oh, there we are. Oh, welcome back. That looks like a lot of fun, actually. I would love to play that game. So we were talking about this, and I had another question for you, and then I know you have some stuff you want to mention there. How can we kind of talked about how you feel about the security of the election? Mm-hmm. How can people help?
Yes, and I do want to mention one thing. My campaign manager was former Washington County Commissioner. I want to put a plug in for him because he has been so supportive of this. He's a former elected official of 8 years, and he is 100% on board with it. And he's speaking at the symposium too. Awesome. So I just want to say that because he means a lot to me.
Yeah.
So there's a couple things that, people can do as far as to help during the election. We really need to watch this election, this general election. We need to be eyes and ears all over the place. Volunteer to do, like we talked about, ballot, watching the observation room. Get involved in a way, not in an intimidating way, of course, but go out and take a look with some groups, and look at the ballot, the boxes out there. Just keep an eye from afar,
Right.
Just nothing intimidating. No, no sit on the box, but take as many screenshots of races while they're in progress. So when the ballots drop and they start the tabulation, take screenshots multiple times per day, and do that until they certify.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So you can see them change.
So we can examine them. If anything comes up, then we can, you can get in touch with, one of us or Brandy, or we can just be aware and start team working if something's suspicious.
Right.
So do that, and then hold your ballots as long as possible to the latter part. Hopefully until the last day, or at least close to the last day. We don't want to miss anything.
Right.
And then drop them off in person. And but just really be aware. And there's also, which we're kind of looking into, there's an app that's been created that's not my app, but it's called Votify.
Okay.
To where you can, it's called, let me just look, it's Votify. And this was created recently, and it basically is where you can upload any images and anything's happening that take pictures of anything suspicious, and you can upload it into that app. I'm looking more into that, so just check it out.
Yeah, and we can when you find out more information, you can always let us know, and we can post it and make sure people know too. So if you guys keep an eye on the page, because we'll put more information out there on how you can help too.
But also Justice League of Oregon, you can message us on the website, and if you have anything suspicious that goes on during this election, because really we're all about wanting justice. We want justice, we want honesty and fairness, and for everybody. So
definitely, absolutely. Somebody said a single vote can really change things. That's true. Jay said we need security cameras for all the drop boxes, and then Joel said, but who controls the cameras? That's an interesting conversation there. You would think putting security cameras are on a good idea, but then who controls them? How do you make sure that's honest?
Well, when you're talking like presidential elections, you just have to remember there's a lot of money and power in those positions. You're running a country, so people in the wrong hands, people are liable to do just about anything to be able to win. I'd like to say that I feel 100% confident in our system, but I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if I felt 100% confident.
Right, that's true.
But yes, who controls the cameras, who controls the machines, and what goes in? I mean, there's an awful lot of things that have gone on with, the machine companies. So.
Right, that's true. So, we had, I would like to pull up that symposium picture again, because I wanted to go into more detail when it is,
Absolutely.
And who's talking, and if they have the picture in front of them, it might help. So Joel, if it's working, you can get that up there. Okay, there we go. So tell me a little bit about, without giving away too much, when it's happening, where, and the people that are involved.
Okay, so it is on September 24th. It's at the Tumwater Ballroom from 1 to 6 p.m. That's at 211 Tumwater Drive. So it's above the Oregon Territory Museum.
Oh, okay.
and there'll be hors d'oeuvres, and so you will have food there, so you won't spend all that time without some snacks, some good ones.
Awesome.
Daryl, runs the Tumwater Ballroom, he is a fantastic patriot, wonderfully supportive. So their speakers are Tina Peters at the top. She's Tina Peters, and she's in Colorado. She is going to be zooming in on that call because she's in legal issue right now to where she can't leave because she's exposing a lot of stuff.
Right.
Mei Wong is my partner in the Justice League. She's to the right. Well, I don't know which way you're looking at. Dark hair. And then Ben Edel, who is speaking, who is fantastic. He's running for Senate District 19. I'm actually working on his campaign.
Awesome.
And I'm in Free Oregon, which he has started that civil rights group during all the overreach. And they're involved in a Tim Sipple case in Washington County. Ben is amazing. He's going to be speaking about that.
Cool.
And then we've got Janice Dysinger, who is the elections integrity for Multnomah County. Mark Thielman, who ran for governor, and we've got Rod Taylor, and he's got Citizens for Restoring Liberty down in Coos Bay, and Rod Taylor is he's just won his primary with a lot of pressure of things being right. That were being there was a lot of things going on. He'll expose all that fraudulent behavior that they're in the middle. There's a suit going on with some people down there.
Wow.
So that's something that'll be updated. And then Bob Terry, former Washington County Commissioner. Cool. So there's going to be a lot of information. We want to safeguard our elections. We want to bring awareness, and we would like to move forward with holding the county and the state to account.
Right. That's important. And so if somebody can't come to the symposium, for example, how could they be more informed, and what could they do to get this information?
They can private message me on Dana for Oregon, Dana Hindman-Allen, and they can private message me, and I will connect with them and let them know where they can go.
Cool.
Okay.
Sounds good. Well, we have another sponsor coming up, and then we will see you in another second. This sponsor is one of the best pizza places there is in the country, I think. But if you're anywhere near Estacada, you have to check out the Hitch and Post Pizza place. She is amazing, Miss Valerie. She's also a very patriotic human being who loves our community and loves people. Check it out. Yeah, we'll put both up. So, welcome back. What else would you like people to know while we're here tonight?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you very much for having me on the show, and I really appreciate it because it's super important. Awareness is the key, and I think that with anything, as long as we become aware, then we can start taking steps to correct things. Government's been very good at keeping us in the dark, and that's why things have been able to go on so long. So just a number of things. So I appreciate everybody listening, and I do hope to see you at the symposium. It's going to be extremely good. It's very important. Oregon has had a one-party rule for about 40 years.
Yeah.
Statistically, it seems unusual. I'm not accusing anything, but I'm just saying we have to gain some traction on this.
Yeah.
And so the more people that are involved, the more people can get plugged in and start helping.
Absolutely.
So
super important.
And you can go to the justiceleagueoforegon.org and take a look at the website, and any help you can offer. Like I said, we're raising funds for legal. Find out about the symposium, and that'd be wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, so like we said, there's a lot of things we talked about tonight, and I'm going to go over it a little bit so people remember. So we talked about what the symposium is. We talked about how to reach people that are involved in this situation of helping us work on election integrity, what you can do in the meantime of taking screenshots, things like that. We talked about what your goals are, and we talked about what the public can do to help.
And going to the symposium, it's $50 at the door, $40 if you buy online, early. We're kind of getting up to a deadline, but if it comes in tonight, we'll just call it good.
So go buy it now.
So if you come in tonight, you'll get the $40 price. And if you come at the door, it'll be $50. So all those proceeds go towards all the efforts that we're making to try to help the situation.
Yeah, that's important. Okay. Awesome. Well, you guys heard it. It's not a conspiracy theory. This is really happening, and it's not based on one party or another. This is focusing on transparency in our state, transparency all over. We want to see the truth. We want to see what's going on, and we want everybody to be held accountable that's serving in any aspect of the government. We need to bring that back. We need to be more open and honest. We need our government officials and those who are elected to actually serve the people and not their pocketbooks or, their people who have lined their pockets, basically. Exactly. We need to see more honesty and integrity in our government from here all the way up.
We, the people, are self-governing, and we need to get activated on that.
Absolutely. 100% agree. And we have a couple more comments we'll get to real quick because we have a minute. I appreciate you guys. Well, thank you. Great show. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Jay said 1998 is when Oregon went full vote by mail. Wow. It's been a long time.
He understands that's
24 years.
Yeah, and things just sort of kind of went to pure one party.
Yeah, and it stayed that way. And I appreciate you guys for this. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate you being here. Thank you for being engaged. Thank you for joining in the conversation, and keep this conversation going. The more of us that are talking about it, the more of us looking into it, the better it'll be. Joel says red wave. We need a red wave. We need a difference. We need a change.
We do.
And we need to, and then once we get that change, hold those people accountable too, because it's important for any party to be held accountable.
People need to be principled and have ethics when they're serving in government. They have a fiduciary responsibility to the people. Doesn't matter what party affiliation they are. If they're doing something wrong, they're doing something wrong.
That's right. 100% agree. Well, thank you again, guys. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. For anybody, real quick before we go, for anybody that was affected by the MacGyver fire this last weekend, if you need anything, you know where to reach out. Our nonprofit is out there, so reach out to them. Reach out to your neighbors. You have people there that support you and love you. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next week with some more exciting topics, probably about a little bit about this and about our kids in school. So enjoy the rest of the week and have a good time researching all this stuff. I want you guys to get into it. So, and if you have any questions, you can shoot them to Dana. You can send them to us, and we'll get you connected. And we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Take care.
Vote.